The school system has to definitely be restructured. And I'm so happy that these private white institutions are being blown out the water right now, because the defunding of education has affected everyone. And they only want to act like it affects poor people and like black and brown people. But it's like, no. It has everyone jacked up. Like, and it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, brown, yellow, white, like it's everyone is gotten the short stick because, you know, like I have people who are I know people who are incredibly smart, have all the resources in the world, yet they are so disconnected with people and what's actually going on. And like, they want to help and they're trying to help, but they're just so like they're just misguided and misdirected. And then they have all these self issues and this guilt comes out because it's like, oh my God, why didn't I know that white supremacy is real? And I'm like, we've been telling you, you just didn't want to believe it. You didn't want to hear it. You didn't see it because it wasn't in your environment. You didn't see it because you didn't have to see it, you know? Like, I didn't have to see poverty if I didn't want to. Like, if I was born somewhere and it was impoverished like area, it's because I genuinely was trying to learn and seek and like sought it out, you know? I was a weird, curious kid who was like, I'm trying to see what else is going on in the world, because I know what's going on here, but like, I learned quickly not everyone was living like me, you know?
Right.
So I was always in this gray area because I was too black I was the token black girl and I was the black girl, but outside of Westridge, I was ostracized.
You were too white for the black kids.
I was too white, or I was too rich, or it wasn't even like, I was like, in my mind, I wasn't rich. I wasn't like, I never even thought about money like that because I was a kid, you know? And it was around me who financially were so above, like, just way different situation. A lot more zeros, you know, different worries in life to where there were no worries for some people. Like, it was a very, like, when I look back, that shit was confusing. Can I cuss on here?
Oh yeah, I cuss so much.
I've been trying to like really be good with my mouth
so much. I keep trying to be better at it, but then I'm also like, I watch Gary Vee, and Gary Vee's always like, fuck that, I cuss, fuck these people. I'm like, yeah that's right.
I need like,
I can be myself.
I need like 2 podcasts. I need a podcast that I can like show my family, and then I need a podcast that's like
clips.
Okay, wait, hold on. I need to plug my computer in really fast. I don't know why I didn't do this before. Wait, so tonight there's a Zoom call that is open to the alumni, faculty, I think faculty, parents, So there's like, they have like over 150, like yesterday, I think it's 120 RSVPs for it. So I'm going to chime into that because like I had all these white, like non-Black, Indigenous people of color, parents, teachers, students like reach out to me. Like they've been like CCing me on emails that they've been sending to the school. Like I feel so happy that I had my moment. It took me about like 2 or 3 weeks to like come down just because I was getting such a flood of responses and like different waves, and I was trying to still like function and be a mother and like still function and like be a constructive part of my family. Like it was it took a lot out of me. It was I need to get paid for this shit. So yesterday when we were on the phone with the consultant, at one point the consultant was like, I don't know what his question was. He didn't really have any questions because he didn't really have an agenda or a guide and didn't consult on shit. But I remember
every time I hear a diversity consultant, I'm like,
okay, hold on one second. Oh girl, these people got me going crazy. Like, tired. I'm like, aren't y'all tired of having the same conversation?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
We're exhausted.
I was going to say, because for white people, this is a new conversation to have, and not even, And when I say white people, I don't mean like individual white people, but like for institutions of whiteness.
Yes.
They haven't touched on this conversation since the last fucking civil rights.
They haven't had to.
So they're like,
it just goes in waves. It goes in waves.
So for them, they're like, let's talk. Whereas black people are like, I'm so fucking tired. I'm talking about this my whole life.
They're like, they'll cycle out in a couple years. Like, we'll just pacify them while we're here. But in terms of actual change, no, these institutions don't change. There's no, the school that they're still having conversations on the N word and reading the word out loud in like school books. And last night we were having, one of the girls shared that the school had the black girls put on an assembly to discuss saying the N word and basically explain why they shouldn't say the N word. And it's like, the onus is always on us. They always put the burden on us. We have to be performative in every situation. Like, it's so dehumanizing. It is so dehumanizing.
I like how you made that point, because particularly for black women, because one thing that is very true is that black women have an easier time crossing over into white affluence than black men. We're much more digestible and acceptable, but we are also
we're fetishized.
Right.
We're fetishized.
We are fetishized, and we're also much more able to. We're the less threatening of black people, of half of black people than black men are. So we're more. White people are, if we're willing to assimilate, white people are more willing to kind of not fully let us in, but they're willing to deal with us in their white spaces quicker than they're willing to deal with black men in the white spaces. But only if we're willing to assimilate. A little bit more, but only if we're willing to assimilate. Because once you come in there and you too blackity black, they like, get this ghetto bitch.
Oh yeah.
The minute you're black, they're like, please get this ghetto bitch.
I've had one of them like reading all these like education lawsuits and like discrimination lawsuits, and there aren't really laws in terms of discrimination in education systems that I know of, but there needs to be. Mm-hmm. So if anyone is a lawyer trying to figure this out,
also because private school system gets.
It's a different
system. It's different. They don't have the same things,
same rules and whatnot. But at the same time, they know the discrimination that they've been dishing out. I have letters that my parents and other parents that they sent to the school that ask specific questions, and the same questions that are being asked now are the questions that were being asked 20 years ago.
Right.
And so there has been zero change. And the other thing is, the black population at Westridge has actually decreased over the years.
Oh wow.
So when it's actually been really cool to connect with some of the alumni from like the 80s and whatnot. That's when the schools had like 25 girls in a class and like 10 girls would be black.
Oh wow.
Completely different situation. And those in themselves were anomalies. Like they're, on average, you make 5, 6, and that was if you got lucky.
Right. But we're saying now we're down to 1 or 2.
Yeah. Right. Been an average of like 1 to 2 in the last few years. If you go back and look at photos, it's really depressing. And it's like every year I go back, I look at the photo, and I'm like, oh my God, that poor brown face. Like I literally go back and I go to just pray for the girls, because I'm like, like in the past, there've been times where it's just I have too much going on in my life, and I don't live in Pasadena anymore, so it's hard to really be hands-on mentoring these girls and talking to the families. So I recently been trying to figure out like what are ways that I can get involved and still show face and be present and be an advocate for these families. So yeah, I even had some incoming families reach out to me in just terms of like, hey, we saw what you said, this is who my child is. And it's like some of those girls, I look at their faces and they have so much light. And I'm like, this is a great school that is going to help your daughter excel. But I'm like, you have to stay close and you have to decolonize your child on a daily basis. And you have to build her up on a daily basis. Like you think you're parenting now. wait till you get into that situation and you're going to be hit with questions and realities and psychological issues and emotional trauma that you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I know how to nurse a wound to a fist fight. You know, we're gonna clean your hands up. We're gonna do some pieces. We're gonna be okay. But like, how do you fix someone's mind when it's been broken?
Right.
How do you fix someone's heart when it's been chilled? You know, and it's affected me in so many ways. Just post Westridge, like I'm still unpacking and healing and unlearning.
So good to see you doing that, because it's so important. I feel like that's really kind of the work of our like 20s and just with adulthood. It's like everybody somehow comes up with y'all come out a little somehow.
And it's like it's affected me dating.
Yeah.
It's affected so many aspects of my life. Like, I was literally so happy to watch your podcast on courting, because I was like,
thank you.
I really, really was, because it reminded me of so many things. And it's like, with everything that's been going on, I've literally like kind of withdrawn myself, and it's just been like, let me just reset myself. And every couple, like, I had a child, and that kind of threw a whole other monkey wrench into the machine for me.
That's a whole episode for us, single mom dating.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a thing. I know. It's very interesting dating as a single mom. It's so
weird, but at the same time, I feel like it can be simplified with courting.
Yeah.
Like, there's that is, these are my boundaries. This is what it is. If you want my attention, this is what's going on.
Because when you're a single mom, it becomes more important to have standards. When you don't have a child attached to you, you can kind of play you have more room to play games.
You can play a game. You're a wiggle one.
But once you have a kid,
what's going on over here.
Yeah. Well, because once you have a kid, it becomes, the stakes become higher, right? See, if you or I play bullshit games with a bullshit nigga who's into bullshit, and he now enters our space and our lives, and God forbid our children's lives, it's not just you or I who's at risk. It's now you, and our kids.
It's my whole ecosystem is
your whole ecosystem getting fucked up now.
Yeah.
So no, I completely agree with that. The single mom standards is such a big thing, particularly because people prey on us. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of men out there who prey on single mommies.
I'm also a person where it's like, I don't know how to ask for help. I'm one of those.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how to ask for help. Even if someone is offering and saying, what do you need? I'm like,
well, because it's so like I get it. It's so counterintuitive that sometimes when people are like, well, what do you need? It's like, that's a good, I'm going to come back with that.
Yeah.
I actually don't know.
And it's crazy because it's like, I don't know what boundaries I can ask, you know? And it's like, I'm also the type of woman where I need a man to say, hey, this is what I can and this is what I can't do, you know? I have this desire for a man to be like a communicator, like, let me communicate with you. So it's also like, you can't just start feeding me words that you think I want to hear, trying to pull me back in. But at the same time, I'm like, I'll play this game with you. Like, I'll go back and forth with you. Because
I'm glad you enjoyed that episode. I was definitely, I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous to put that episode out there.
No. I thought it was really good. I was
nervous because it's like,
I needed that.
I was like, this is me being most authentic. I was like, this is how I be talking to my girlfriend.
Real. It was so real. And I was like, damn. Like, I've been the dumb girl.
Well, I mean, especially as Black women, though, I like how you did kind of bring that up, because we are conditioned. The conditionings that we're put under throughout our lives it affects you in every aspect of your life. It's going to affect, how you mother. It's going to affect how you date. It's going to affect, so for me, being somebody who's obsessed with healing, you have to, like, I look at healing holistically. You have to do it, because it's not like, oh, well, like, I'm just fucked up here in this sector. Like, no, if I'm fucked up over there, it's gonna spill over.
It spills over everywhere.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna. So, thanks. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that, Will. Because I was so nervous. I was literally like at the end of the episode, I was like,
no, it made me happy.
Gonna go over.
I was like,
I don't know how this is gonna be received.
I was like, Simone's about to be my dating coach.
Thank you. No, I'm literally like,
Went to all girls
first
school.
off,
I'm retarded.
shout
when it
out
comes
to
men.
you. Shout out to you, because when we met, you were like, you said some shit that stuck with me. You were like, you need to shoot. You were like, I believe in contracts for everything. And you were like, and I believe in charging motherfuckers for everything. You were like, I believe in charging what I'm worth. And I was like, I like this bitch. I was like, I agree with this. I was like, sometimes I'd be feeling a little uncomfortable, but she just said it out loud, and I like the way it sounds.
This shit is stupid. At this point, I'm like, you want to hang out with me? Pay tribute.
Yeah, no, I'm literally like, I was like, yeah, but I was definitely thinking about like, I'm definitely thinking of adding like dating coaching to my resume of services, because I do coach like my friends. I do end up coaching a lot of people through their dating shit. So I'm like, I have good reviews. I'm like, I got testimonials.
Okay, do you want to do a project together? Let's see if we can do this, because I've even considered like putting like my list of like, this is what I require. This is what I need. This is what I want. And actually just having like a dating profile that is actually a custom, like, it's not even a dating profile, but it's like, these are the things you need to know if you are even considering like having a conversation with me, you know? Because someone could look good to the surface, and then you have that first conversation with them, and you're like, whoa.
No,
so
definitely.
like,
I talk about that in my book, doing it's a book that I'm writing. I'm not set on the title yet, but I think it's going to be called You Are the Problem. Like, I'm honestly not set on the title, but I think it's going to be You Are the Problem. And,
or can we say, yes, comma, you are the
problem, right?
In case you didn't know.
It's it's a dating self-love book, but like early on in the book, I talk about how for myself, like it's kind of like in a dating advice book, but it's not like, I'm trying not to make it so traditional, like, this is what, it's more so like, look, bitches, I'm gonna tell y'all what worked for, like, I'm gonna tell y'all
this
what
worked for me, and this worked for
you. Like, I'm gonna just share my knowledge, and if y'all want to take it and better your lives, go ahead. If you want to fight me, you do that too. Like,
that's honestly some of the best. That's one of the best things that you can do, though. Like, and that's one thing I do.
Approach.
I've learned, like, my mom, there's some people are like, why do you share so much stuff with your mom? And I'm like, my mom is has a great sense of like relationships, in my opinion. And I've seen her like grow. Like, my parents got divorced, and my mom had to totally refine her voice, you know?
Yeah, it's a journey. And it's definitely a journey.
I've seen it. Like, I've seen it happen. I know it can happen. Yeah. And it's beautiful when it happens. Like, that shit is so real.
But I would definitely recommend, get your do a list of like your I recommend to everybody to get down to their 10 basic standards. So it's one of the first things I tell people to do in my book. Like, look at what your values are, and then narrow it down to your there's two lists, standards and basic needs, but I think basic needs is most important. I tell people, like, look at your values, look at your needs, get down to a list of your 10 basic emotional needs, and make it a list that is not, the rules of it is it can't have, so these are my rules. Sex can't be on your list, because we're all human beings and we all need fucking sex.
Can I say something?
I'm like, everybody can leave that off the list because it's implied.
I honestly, at this point in my life, and I love sex, I'm one of the most sexual like people I know. Like, I'll be like, oh cool, you want to do that? Oh sure, like, let's go buy books, let's try it. Like, I'm with the shit. But at this point in my life, I honestly don't want to have sex until I get married.
Yeah. And that's why I don't even think that's crazy. I do talk about sex extensively also.
I'm like, you know what? I'm so good. And I started changing my prayers. I started praying for, so I was like, you know what, God, like, I really need you right now. And I was like, I need to be touched, but like, I don't want to be touched, you know? So I was like, I started praying for intimacy that was just non-sexual. So like, I was craving intimacy in a non-sexual manner. And recently, like, well, the beginning of the year, I was like opening myself up to like dating and talking to people more. You know, every now and then someone will slide into the DMs or I see something, I'm like, oh, this looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
And there was
Which
this
is
one
good.
guy who I was talking to just friendly. Like I wasn't even thinking anything about it. But then we, like a couple months later, we hung out in person and went on an actual, like a normal, like just low key chill date,
Yeah.
a Corona date, whatever that
Right.
means. Like he works from home and like everyone was quarantining. We went to the lake, we had food and we talked. Come to find out his mother is a physical therapist. And I was like, oh wow. And at one point he was like, does your body hurt? I was like, no. He was like, well, do you want a massage? And then like at first I was kind of like
no, don't touch me.
oh,
Also,
now I'm
yes.
like, yes.
Yeah.
No, now I'm
No,
like,
I know. Your
yeah.
first instinct is
But
like, no, but then it's like, actually, yeah, I do.
a couple times to get comfortable to even being like, yeah. So it's like at the same time, don't block your blessings. Do I think this man is my husband? I don't know. Like, but right now, like, there's no harm in it. Like, and I did ask for it. I did pray for it.
No, that's
and
a good
I've
thing.
honestly been getting the best like massages you can't pay for.
Yeah.
Non-sexual, like, and it's been like it's such like a
in my book. I think that people are scared a lot of the times to like try and like we're scared of dating because we're scared to fail a lot. But the truth is, it's okay. Every dating experience you have, like, I think part of it is that we're taught as women that like every dating experience we have, he has to be the one. No, he does not have to be the one, because at the end of the day,
sometimes they can just be a friend.
It can, and positive experiences with the opposite sex will build your confidence, like in having positive dating experiences. Because my book's really about like how do you go from having this like I call it toxic dating cycle, but it's really just like whatever dating cycle you're stuck in that's not serving you. And it's like, okay, so how the fuck do you get out of what's not, like, you're going through these motions that aren't serving you? How do we get you out of that? How do we move you over to a place where maybe you're not meeting your Prince Charming, but you're having positive experiences, but you're having experiences that serve you, that help your growth, that help you heal, that push you towards self-love? How do we shift that narrative and that paradigm in people's lives? And that's big for me. But I always tell people, I'm like, dude, this is like, I always cheer my friends on when like they have these experiences with these guys. They're like, I don't think he's the one. I'm like, he doesn't need to be. I'm like, he's good for what he's good for right now.
Doesn't need to be. Exactly. And it's matters. Like, you don't know what God's plan is. You don't really know anything. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
So if you would like a case study or a client,
thanks, Bill. I appreciate that. I love how you said that, because I honestly literally just yesterday wrote down on my little like business, like the journals I keep for my different businesses. I was like, in my Live from the Backseat journal, I was like, find a way to add dating coach to your line of services, because like I really
it's for the dating is for the birds. I have some answers. Dating is so hard. It's annoying, really, but I would love for somebody to simplify it for me, because that's the other thing. I overthink everything.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, hey, this is what they said. Like, I don't need to sit with that for 10 minutes by myself. Like, girl, this guy just said blah, 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 blah. This is my response, but how would you respond? You know, even something as simple as that. Like, it's dating is...
It's tough.
I'm so new to it. Which is weird to say. Like, I've been in relationships, I've had boyfriends, but like actually like dating, courting, touring is new.
It's new, because when me and my baby father separated, like I had the same feeling you have of like, I was like, this shit's new. Like, I felt like it was like, because we were together for long, and so it was like I felt like I'd been so removed from the game that it was like, I don't really know anymore.
I don't know. Even when you were talking about, like, you were saying how like, you know, we don't demand it in terms of like courting sometimes, you know? And I was like,
It's true.
oh,
That's
you
the
know
only
what?
issue with this generation of women.
That's no,
This is
and
the
that
first
is an
generation of
issue
women
of
to not
mine.
get courted. And it's literally because we're the first generation of women that's scared to be like, no, nigga, if you want this pussy, you're going to do X, Y, Z. Every generation before us was like, no.
And I've literally
I don't
like,
agree.
I'm the woman who's like, hey, how'd you do that? And people will be like, why are you asking? Like, and I'll be like, because I'm trying to figure it out. Like,
yeah,
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm literally trying to learn.
I've always had questions from my girlfriends of like, how'd you do? Because I think that's one thing for me that I definitely noticed. Like, I've had a lot of dating experiences. I've had some abusive ones, some less than stellar ones, but I've also had I have a general track record of like getting what I want for the most part, or at least, or like it ends if I don't, like, I have a general track record of like, well, if I'm not getting what I want, then I'm going to leave. Because I'm a person who's very driven by like,
you're like, it is what it is.
Is what I want available? Because if that's the only thing I'm here for. I'm a very driven, like, my personality is very driven by like, what do I want? So like, what are my
this
goals?
is what I like.
And I'm very like, I have a very hard time entertaining anything in life that is not in line with giving me what the fuck I want. So I think it's served me in my dating life, and I've gotten that a lot from other women. Like, how did you do that? And I'm just like, but for me, it's never been a thing of like, it's a secret. I'm like, oh girl,
no, for me, it's like, how'd you do it? Or I was in this weird situation where I was like, in the past, like I will say it, like I was the courting, like I was doing the courting, and it wasn't even like I was doing the courting, but it was like just because like that's just who I am as a person, like and that's the problem. That is the problem. Like
that's literally why I did that episode, because I know I myself have courted very rarely, but it's happened.
It's happened. And the crazy thing is,
and I know a lot of beautiful women who are doing it. I know that's another thing. I see a lot of beautiful women that
I was like, wait a minute.
I literally, why the fuck is this happening?
I had someone say, yo, why are you courting this nigga? And I was like, what are you talking about?
What do you mean?
And they were like, and then I was like, I literally stepped back and I was like, I'm sad.
No, literally. Yo, I was literally telling Mech about this the other day. I was in I went to go pick up some breakfast from this place, and like I walk in, and in front of me there's a couple placing an order. Now I walk in, I see the couple, and I'm like, I know exactly what the fuck going down here. She's in her little scrubs. Clearly, she on her way to work. This nigga is in his house clothes. I'm like, I already know what's gonna happen here. She about to drop her ass off at work and go take her car. She about to drop her off at work and take her car, okay, and take his ass back to her fucking house and ride around using up her gas all day. I know exactly what the fuck might happen here. So it's so funny because I saw it and I was like,
and in that situation too,
girl, yeah, and right, that's the only reason I recognized it. I'm like, because I've been that bitch. I've been that bitch before, so I see it when it's happening. And so I was literally like,
run, sis, run.
It was so funny because I was like, I bet you she paid for this food when this order done. And what happened, like clockwork, after they finished placing the order, he slides to stand behind her, does that little back hug that niggas do, and and she pays for the meal. And then, you know what I'm saying? Then they got in the car
and that was, I think that's
work. And I was
that also comes from like my childhood. Like literally when I was a teenager, like in my late teens, like my parents were very nice to me. I had a car and I had an American Express. Like I was chilling. I could go wherever I wanted. Like I was able to like get my little food, do what I wanted, do. And I was also still very new to like men and boys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I was like, whoa. So it was like, to me, it was like, oh, if someone couldn't pay for it, it was like, oh, well, I got it. Let's just go, you know? Yeah. And then that just became an issue. That became an issue. And that's why I
say, there's not a problem with doing that. That's what girls don't understand. There's not a problem where if that's your man.
Yeah, if it's your man, if y'all are on the same page,
there's not even a problem. We've been on 5 dates and he's paid for 5 dates and now I decided to go buy tickets to something. You know what I mean? That's not my thing. But my thing is like, as I said, I'm like, there's a lot of women who are giving up a lot and getting like nothing. Like I've never walked away from a dating situation getting nothing. Even my most abusive, bad situations, I have still never walked away with fucking nothing. Like that to me is wild.
For me, after every breakup, I'm the girl who throws away everything. So it's like, if you bought me anything, I don't have it anymore.
Oh, I do that. But sometimes, you know, and that's the thing, getting stuff is getting what you want
nice
depends on what you want. Because, like, you know, there's been situations where a dude has not been able to buy me anything monetarily, but, like, throughout the relationship, even though he was a shitbag, like, you still had to move my apartment. You still had to do, like, you gonna put some, like, that's how I've always been. You gonna put some work in somewhere, motherfucker. I don't know where you're gonna put work in, but somewhere in this bitch, you're going to do something for me. I don't care what it is.
The most toxic relationship that I was in, I learned how to communicate. Like, literally, that was the one where I learned, like, real ass communication. And I was like, this shit is insane. But, like, I'm in this. I'm in this. And not only am I in this, but, like, I was stuck for a while. Which is really crazy when I look back at it. I'm like... I heard you guys were trying to pull me out of this hole, but I just didn't realize how just deep in the hole I was.
Yeah, that's
like, you know, it's crazy because I would
like a whirlwind, and when you're in the middle of the vortex, because it's calm in the center of a storm, you don't even fucking see it. But everybody around you sees it's a fucking tornado and is like, "Holy shit!"
Going on?
Yeah, everybody around you is like, "Holy shit!" She's trapped in a fucking tornado of shitstorm. Like, what's happening? And you're like, but it's fine. What do you mean? Because you're in the middle of it. And then once you're out of it, you're like, oh, fuck. Once you're out of it, you're like, oh, wow, that was holy shit. Like that, I had the same experience afterwards. I'm like
I was in a emotional and mentally abusive relationship.
Like click. Wow, right. And especially when you're like definitely I will say like because I think we're similar in some ways. Like we're both very like kind of outspoken and
we're like, pretty aware. Like we know what's going on.
And, like we're self-aware and shit. And it's crazy when you're that type of woman that you're like you think like, oh, that could never happen to me. And then it happens
where it's
to
like,
you.
oh, if I see it coming, I'm gonna get out. And then you're like, well, it's not that bad. Oh, well, you know what? I see what they're trying to do, and I'm just going to be supportive. Like, me being the supportive role is so different now from, like, what I've done in the past. Like, me being supportive is like, no. You're doing what with your money? What business? Okay, let me figure out, like, you need to go talk to this person. At this point, I'm not doing any work for you. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this stuff. Like, whereas before I was like, running around literally trying to set up a business for someone. Now I'm like, okay, if you want to do it, here's the phone number, you take initiative, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, the fact that I even have to say that is
crazy.
Wild.
It is. But
like, how old are we?
That's so true. But it's also true. Men and women get people treat you and do what they can based on what the fuck you let them do. So I mean that's
which is hard because it's like you have to set your patterns early because as soon as you go against it, it's like whoa, why are you being so aggressive?
The biggest advice I give women, the biggest advice I give to women, this is like my number one fucking golden fucking dating rule. I'm always like, yo, just be yourself from the fucking beginning. If you're a crazy ass bitch, be a crazy ass bitch from the day he fucking meets you. No, real shit, because the truth is, like, first off, the truth is, most of these niggas gonna fuck with you regardless, okay? One. Two, like, the one thing women don't understand is that men, and I said this, their mind doesn't work like ours. Men aren't good.
It really doesn't.
It does not. So I hate when I hear women, they're like, they tell me their dating issues and they're like, I just don't understand. I'm like, well, are you dating a man or a woman? Because like, that's pretty clear to me. You're literally like, if you were in a lesbian relationship, this would make sense. But he's a man, so it doesn't make fucking sense.
Okay, I don't want to say I took a summer. That is so disrespectful to myself and her. But there was this moment in time where I met this woman, and I had, first of all, like, I've always been attracted to women, but never in my mind was I like, ooh, like, let me go, like, date a girl.
Right.
Yeah. It was always just like, I was just comfortable, and I always attributed it to being at an all-girls school. And I was like, oh, I'm just comfortable. That's what I know. Yeah. No, I like girls too. I actually like girls.
Me too. So it's
like, Same thing. No. It wasn't like, oh, let's just try this. I was really able to understand the differences and like, oh, you know what? Men and women are very different.
Huge difference. That's why I do not ascribe to any of that. Men and women are the same. No, the fuck we're not. Men and women are not
hell
the same. We don't process shit the same way. We don't mentally process or emotionally process shit the same way. That's not true. And the biggest thing that I think women do is we think that to get a man, we have to like be something we're not, or we have to, so we try to be chill. We try to be low maintenance.
Yeah, I've always been like the chill, and it's like, reserved.
Yeah, I used to be that girl, and then I was like, why am I doing this? When the truth is, I am a high maintenance ass bitch.
I'm high maintenance and I'm crazy. I'm a wild card.
There is no low maintenance involved in dating me. Like, let's just be very honest and clear. Like, and I literally say all the time for women, I'm like, dude, you got to be yourself up front, because men don't do switch ups. Like, the female mind can process. We can process, oh, we've been talking for 5 months and now he wants it to be this way. Men don't process that. Men are like,
what?
I thought this was
it's
what
like
it was.
Going from
now
like a weave to natural hair, and it's like, whoa, what?
Exactly.
I get
it. Can't fucking process it. So I'm always with women, I'm like, dude, just literally, I'm like, up front. I'm like, if you want that shit, you need to up front. Don't even one time.
Yeah, because then it's like, why are you making this difficult? And I'm like,
yeah,
what?
Because then once you do
I made it easy before. Now it's just you having to actually do your part.
Once you've done it once, twice, 3 times, the 4th time when you try to be like, no, it's going to be like, well, what are you doing? Why are you being different?
Issue.
Why are you doing this? I thought we were doing this. Because nigga, I didn't really like doing that. No, that's why I'm like, bitch, say that shit up front. You don't like that shit? Tell him. The first time it had, my girlfriend will text me like, so I'm sitting here right now and he's doing this and I don't like it. What should I do? I'm like, say something, bitch. I'm like, open your mouth and
also another thing has been like, for me, it's been like questions to ask. So there's like a new like slew of questions that I've like taken into account in terms of dating. Whereas before, it wasn't like one of my first questions. So now it's like one of my first questions, and not like first conversation, but it's like, you know, early on, it's, what kind of trauma have you experienced in your life? Like, that shit matters. And before, I used to be like, you know what, it matters, but it doesn't make a person, you know? Like, they can always grow from it and whatnot. Nah, there's some people that's just who they are. And it's like, I've had to learn that you have to accept people for who they are, and you can't change a person. You can only change yourself. So it's like, yeah, I feel like my 20s are like, I had so many lessons that people had like in high school. Yeah. Just in terms of like dating or social interactions, or just like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, whereas I've asked people so many questions and they look at me like, why don't you know this? Or like, that's not a real question. When I'm genuinely like, hey.
You're like, I actually would like an answer though. Yeah.
I'm actually kind of embarrassed about asking you this, but like, how did you do that? You know, like.
No, I think it's very valid. And I think that's, people, you know, the thing is, dating isn't, you know, it's so funny. The only reason I know so much about dating is because I dated a lot. Like, I've tried a lot, but like, in the process of me trying a lot, I've also faced a lot of slut shaming. I've faced a lot of, you know, why can't you just, you know, like, well, like, stick with one nigga, whatever. Like, because I ain't fucking like that nigga, so I had to move to another nigga.
I didn't like him no more.
To tell you, like, you know, I faced a lot of backlash from people who are too fearful of dating failures to try a lot. But on the flip side, where I am and where where as peers we all generally are because of our age now, it's like, I have the fucking answers, bitch, because I've tried.
Yeah, before I didn't really care about it. Before it's like I didn't really put that much like effort or like press into it because that just wasn't my focus. It wasn't like I was like, oh, let me get married right now. You know, I was traveling and learning and just exploring.
I've always
but
been
now
like, drawn to. I think, but for me, I'm very obsessed with interpersonal relationships in general. Like I'm.
When's your birthday?
February 8th. That's something very like. Yeah, I'm very like, I'm an Aquarius and I'm very like, I like to analyze, I'm very perceptive. So I'm like, for me, like, I'm very interested in like the dynamics of like mother-daughter relationships, sister relationships, mother-son, father-daughter. Like, I'm just very interested in interpersonal relationships, which is why for me, kind of like being so interested in how dating works it
makes sense.
It's just natural for me because it's like, I don't have to focus on anything to like just be drawn to like, well, I want to learn that, or like, you know what I mean, or like, well, I want to see, or like, I want to figure it out, or just like maybe let me go read a book because like now this is interesting. Like, I am really obsessed with interpersonal relationships and like how within our society, how interpersonal relationships then affect our larger societal functioning and makeup. Like that's just
and they do. Yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
So I definitely like
it's weird.
Dating's been something I've been like locked in on just from that perspective.
We could have a whole dating and race conversation too one day because out here it's the dating pool is not I don't know where it is. And then when you think you find out where it is, and then you find out like actually like a lot of the Black men out here who are in successful positions or in just a good stable position are gay.
Yeah.
So it's
challenge, interesting challenges.
I'm like, okay, I'm ready now.
You're like, I am waiting for my king. Where are you at though?
where has the dating pool gone?
I love it. Oh my god.
Where did you go?
You're literally. I'm so glad we got to have this conversation because
I'm so confused. And it's to the point where I remember one day when my grandmother told me, she was like, you know what, baby, I'm sorry, but you'll probably have to be with a white man. And when she told me that, I was like a teenager. I started crying. And then I was like, I want a Black man. But it was like, she was like, you're educated. You've been exposed to XYZ. Like, for a while, it made me feel like something was wrong with me.
Yeah. No, I
really
get that.
Made me feel like something was wrong with me.
I used to feel like that a lot. Yeah.
And then even yesterday when we were on this call with all these Black alumni, one of the ladies was like, just so that you guys, she basically said that we were all too smart to get married. She was like, oh, you think it's hard being Black at Westridge? Just wait till you figure out, like, y'all ain't gonna get married. And we were like, huh?
I do agree that successful, educated Black women do have a harder time in the dating world.
But there's just different pressures and societal expectations.
I'll say it's valid that there's differences. It's a different time. It's a different experience. But like, this whole idea that like you can't get married or you can't whatever, like I'm a big believer in God knows your heart and he wants you to have what you want. And so I believe that God loves me and wants me to be happy and have what I want in life. And I also believe that for everybody else. I'm like, I believe that God loves you and wants you to have what you want. So if something's really in your deep desire, there's no reason God's going to be like,
it's going to happen.
Yeah, there's no reason God's going to be like, actually, I don't want this. Like, I know that, like, that's not, if it's just something that like frivolous, then you maybe not get it. But if it's a deep desire for you, if like a loving, committed relationship is a deep desire for you. I'm a very true believer that, like, if that's a deep desire, it means God has it somewhere out there for you. You just gotta hack the code to get it. It's like a video game.
Yeah.
You gotta figure out how to get to the level you need to get to.
Now I'm like open to it, whereas before I wasn't so much open to it because I just had other things that I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, okay, I do want a companion in life. Like, I do want like that male best friend that I can do anything and everything with, you know, like I want an intact family. I want my children to have their father like in the home. Like, I don't always want to have to co-parent and feel like I'm juggling my child. Like, I don't want that.
I don't know if you've experienced this as a single mom, but I definitely have. Also, just the thing of like, society treats single moms, particularly Black single moms, a certain type of way. And like, I realize the stark difference I get from when people think I have a man who's going to back me up, like, versus when people think there's no man around. Like, when people know that, like, my nigga will come get, then all of a sudden it's a very different,
conversation.
It's a different way people treat me when they think that some man somewhere might come for them on my behalf versus like, oh, she's a single mom that doesn't have a man to back her up. Like,
yeah. And the thing is, like, I was having this conversation with someone and they were like, he was like, this is just a friend. He was like, I'm kind of confused, but both you and your sister are mothers and you're not married. Like, it's not. He was like, it doesn't make sense to me. He was like, I know who your family is. Like, you guys come from a good family. You guys are smart. You're educated. You're hardworking. He was like, you both can cook. Like, he was like, y'all make sense. Like, you've traveled. Like, he named all these positive things. And he was like, can you fill me in on like what's wrong? Like, he was like, he was like, why there's so many good women who are single mothers? So that's just a general question that I have.
That's a question worth writing down because I'm gonna ponder upon that.
Yeah, and if you like, he had some perspective on it, and we even talked about doing a podcast. So it's like, or doing an episode. He wanted to do an episode, so it's like I could bring him on here and have that conversation. Because him, and then I have this other friend Gary who's actually based in DC, and lately we've just been talking about the whole difference between male and female thought process. He's an Aquarius as well. But
I love men. I love Aquarius men.
I love Aquarius men.
Everybody hates them, but I love them. My son is an Aquarius. My man's an Aquarius. My baby dad's an Aquarius.
My baby dad's an Aquarius too, and he's the most confusing person ever. And I'm like, there's no reason why there should be confusion here. Like,
no, Aquarius men have they're a special breed. They're a special breed of man.
I literally had never dealt with Aquarius in my life, and then I met him, and now there's all these damn Aquarius around, and I'm like, half of them, I'm like, oh my God, I love you so much. Like, why is it so easy between us? And then with him, I'm like,
why is it so hard? Because we're a duality in there. Yeah.
Do you want me to set your apartment building on fire?
Literally. Like, when's your birthday?
I'm September 8th. I'm a Virgo.
Ah, that makes sense. I love Virgos. My grandparents are Virgos. I love Virgos.
I love Virgos.
Yeah, Virgos are great. I'm an Aquarius, and I work well with other Aquarius. I think I'm fine with it. Some people can't date within their sign. Some people can't date within their sign, but I'm like I can do it because I get it. And we have.
I like the Aquarius because y'all are kind of weird like us, but y'all chill.
Yeah, we're like chill, complicated weirdos.
I like that. That's the other thing. My son's father's birthday is Valentine's Day, and I love romance. And I'm like, there's nothing like, ew.
There's no romance here. I love it. It's crazy. I get it because I'm literally just like experiences are
So
different.
it's like a double-edged sword. So there's part of it where it's like, oh my God, like, okay, no romance here. But at the same time, I'm like, you want your child for Valentine's Day? Here you go, babe. Because I'm
Yeah.
about to go spoil myself in the meantime. Like,
Yeah, no, that I get that. I completely get that. Okay, so before we wrap up today,
yeah,
just thank you so much for doing this. I had so much fun,
thank you.
and I'm so glad we got to talk because it's been a while, but like,
We can do this more often.
Yeah, yeah, we should. We definitely should. Okay,
Like, I need help.
you're great.
I like to
I
talk.
love it. Like, me too. I'm so happy we got to do this. I mean, seriously, thank you.
Yeah.
Before we do wrap up, though, I just kind of want like let people know where they can find you, where they can find Rage Regardless Rye, like just kind of where can they get access to you and to all the great things you're doing and your sister and just like everything.
So my name is R KyleLynn, and that is also my Instagram name. It is letter R, KyleLynn. My website is actually, it's spelled out, it's the 18th letter.com. So R is the 18th letter, so I like to do a lot of things around the letter R. And on there, it's just like my resume and bio, but I am launching a new like lifestyle blog that centers around like skincare and hair care, because I've made a lot of like transitions over the quarantine. I started locking my hair, so I have to get a new hair care routine. Also, Boz's hair is growing like weeds, and people are always like, hey, what's your hair care routine? So I've been trying to find, like, I'm coining the term like NORV, natural, organic, raw, vegan products to use on our skin and our hair. So I've like literally just do a bunch of stuff away and just been like finding all these NORV products. So yeah, gonna be doing some things on there. I'm working on some YouTube stuff, so I will be announcing those projects like within the next like month or two, hopefully next month. Yeah, so R KyleLynn is my Instagram, and then the 18th letter is my website. And then for the nonprofit of Rage Regardless Rye, which empowers families that are impacted with metabolic conditions, that website is Rage Regardless Rye, RY. .org, and or you can Google it. You can Google it. You can find us, which is really cool. We will be starting to film soon for Teen Mom OG. So if you haven't watched us on television on MTV, you know, it's not the best like version of us because they edit it how they want to edit it, and they don't know what to do with the happy black family. So they try and give us drama. But yeah, you can check us out on MTV. I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much it for now.
All right. Well, there we go. That's really good. So you guys heard her.
I have a few projects coming out like by the end of the year. So I'm like trying to plug myself in some more.
Plug. I'm all for shameless plugging.
Yeah.
I'm like all for shameless promo and plugging. I don't care.
Right.
No, yeah, so definitely guys follow her, please. And just thank you.
Ask me questions too. I love talking. I love like sharing information. So if you have questions on like if you want to follow the Westridge stuff, our Instagram is black@Westridge with an underscore. Yeah, I do want to. I'm working on more projects for that. So it's like I love knowing that you were actually like interested and you were following it, because it's like sometimes you do these things and you're like, I don't know if it's such like a insulated like Bible or not Bible bubble like moment. It's like, do I keep going on with this, or do I like just chill out and work on something more positive in another life? So I'm happy you mentioned that. Yeah, so I will definitely keep you in the loop there as well. So
well, thank you for doing this and for the work you're doing, and like
thank you.
This was awesome. This was so awesome, and you know I love you, and I'm just it's great to get to talk to you just in general, because
I am
always
too.
a
Like,
good time.
I feel like we're like we're friends.
We are. I know. Like I feel like this is actually my friend, guys. So
yeah,
no, literally,
I'm very like weird with like friendships. So I'll be like, oh no, that's an acquaintance. But now I'm like, oh no, that's Simone. It's just my friend.
Yeah. No, I'm literally the same way. So I get it. And I think that's why when I met you, I was like,
oh, I liked you off the top.
I was like, I like her. She's cool. I was like, yeah, no, but I'm also, because I'm also so like, I'm also so just like I'll tell people how it's like, there's people that like, we'll be friends for like 5 years before I'm like, that's my friend. And they're like, bitch. And I'm like, it's not that I didn't love you. I have trust issues.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but it took you 5 years to get through like 3 layers.
Yeah, I'm like, I promise it's not you, it's me. It's me. Yeah, I'm like, it's really me. So I completely get it, and I am so glad about this, and I am glad that we met and that we became friends and everything, because you're dope and awesome, and I will say it also is nice to like find people in the world who kind of like experience wise and just who you can, you know what I mean? Like, we're not the same, but like, it's cool to like have shared things that can kind of resonate with both of us, and things that are different that I can learn from you, and you know, so I'm just
exactly. And I actually like, this could be like a totally other day, or if you have a few minutes after this, we could chat for a second. And I do want to partake in a little mommy break marijuana little moment for myself.
Yeah.
But I want to explore, like, I'm trying to explore more like nonprofit sector, and I want to do something that has to do with mothers and their sons, like some kind of nonprofit that benefits boy moms in particular. In just terms of learning, because there's like so many different things that I have to learn because of my son now, that before they were things that weren't really present in my life, or it's like, whoa, I didn't really have to consider this. So I'm going to do something focused that, but I've been trying to figure out ways to connect, like make bridges between like Indigenous people, Black people, and like different African cultures. So I know your family, you're Kenyan. I've been to Kenya, and I think it'd be really cool if we could do some kind of nonprofit that connects like boy moms here, but also helps like single mothers within Kenya. So
I'm totally open to talking about that. Yeah, definitely.
I think that'd be cool.
That would be great. Guys, thank you for joining live from the Backseat today. I'm going to end the recording. We can chit chat, but thank you guys so much for joining us. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation and got a lot out of it. Please comment, rate, subscribe, follow. It's all going to be here on a page. So, you know, guys, thank you and have a great day.